Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings Right Here at Your Life. I'm your host, Jerome Sage Butler, taking you yet on another journey in 2019 in an absolute blissfulness, and joy and the radiance of the living spirit of the immortal presence of Yahuwah in our lives. It's such an awesome joy to just give thanks and praises, to be in harmony, and to keep that presence in our experiences, making it be the activities of our lives as we give thanks for Yah's complete vibrational aura and presence, right? So we beckon the presence and we hearken ourselves to be in tune, to be in sync, to be in synchronicity with the divine presence of Yahuwah right here in the living cosmos, right? Life is beautiful. The experience thereof is even more awesome when we have a praiseworthy existence, right? A praiseworthy experience gives value to the experience. It makes it more worthwhile, fulfilling, right? Because then it's not just about what we think, it's about how we are. And the end results will always manifest what is there. Our efforts will always be the end result. So first cause is always what brings the booze or the applause. Be grounded, be rooted in faith, true faith, faith that sustains, and faith that fulfills. It is yet another awesome moment, right? To be here, to be looking at each other through the spectacles of social media, the social medium, these network that affords us the ability to connect. It is awesome, and we must post responsibly, be responsible for the content that we're putting out, and at least grow in the understanding that after a while, it becomes you, it becomes others. So it's affecting more than just our lives. And I have oftentimes, through my prayers, reviewed a lot of my avenues of thought and trying my utmost to stay within the divine law, what Yahuwah puts on my heart. So then I don't bring too much of my ideological premises to bear. And sometimes my friends, all across the world, they'd ask of me to speak on certain topics. And they know me personally, and I have my own opinions, let me say, of these issues and these events. But sometimes they don't serve the greater good of the divine law to even mention them, because we know that we are in turmoil, and we know that conditionally our reality is being, torqued, manipulated, whatever you want to call it, interfered with. So the preservation of the collective consciousness is very important. You've got to have that recollective mind, and that will keep you in sync and harmonize. For those who think I am not addressing certain issues, I always implore you to be present. The Most High is not dead or archaic. I always say present and living in the immortal. And that is the essence of what we must never lose sight of. We have a living God that is here for us. And it leads me now from my preamble into today's presentation, which is centered around being present in the presence. Because, I guess there is a lot of contemplation. I feel that as humans, we are obviously cultured by our societies, right? And our societies give us the versions and the versions, yeah, the versions, get that, and the versions of reality. And so we question the supreme reality. We question the supreme presence. Yahweh is always present, but then through time and through the presentation of what is selectively offered, we look at the grand scale or the grand scape or the grand scope with a minor theme or a specific theme or a specific eye, angle, tangent, or vantage point. And so in essence, that vantage point usually is always about dissecting the posthumous and the present and living spirit of the immortal Yahuwah through Christ and through Yeshua, the Christ, is in our presence lost because we are going through this kind of dichotomy of what is past, what is lost. But what is present and is eternal and is never lost and can never be put away, put down, or do away with. So how to be in that presence and be present? Now, there's always the devotees of the divine law. Now, Christian and Christian law, Christian morals is so vast. They mirror majority of, religious morals and precepts with specific differentials, especially upon the Christ and the essence of a God in human form, but being the only, not being a pantheon of gods or a cadre, shiru of gods, but the singular, most divine. Now, there's also debates upon Christ only and the whole theology of Trinity and so forth. And I'm not laughing because I take it for granted. I'm a person whose experience of Yeshua, of the Christ, of Jesus is personal. And as such, I live from the vantage point of my awakening and that awakening through the presence. So I've often claimed, and I'm still claiming, that there are great minds out there, souls who are quite awakened and are quite aware of what I'm saying. And I would often say sometime in the astral plane, they offer me a word or two to correct. Because remember, I'm not theological. In essence, I'm speaking of the presence of Yeshua. And I remind you that when Christ walked, he wasn't really in the synagogue. He wasn't really in the structured system, what we call the church system or the system of organized religion. He walked outside the realms, but he never denied the gathering. So, the presence of the Most High. So we chase it through the pretext of what is religious, edicts, right? And a sort of a religious moralizing. You got it right. And this religious moralizing kind of offers us an answer to behavioral issues, ethics, and standards of human conduct, right? And so we have understanding that through Christ, there is a renewing of our spirit and a renewing of our presence and a renewing of our life and a renewing of what we do in this world. So in essence, when I look at how we then become closer to the presence of the Most High, I begin to understand that our morals change because now we have a true presence in divine nature, a true presence in manifestation that we can look at, that we can have the archetype of our consciousness. And the fact is, it's not one that is constructed from our human desires or human longings. And this is the difference. When something is authentic, whatever it offers is genuine. Interpretations are just dimensions of the knowing of what is genuine. So genuinely, as we grow morally, then we increase in the presence of the Most High. We go closer in attitude, in actuality, and then we begin to now be able to understand, become clearer, because we begin now to feel and now be able to communicate what we're feeling and be able to communicate it on the presence, the sense of being alive, the sense of it having life in your expression is carried forward. It doesn't matter if you're shouting it at the top of your voice or you're whispering it, but that essence of life is present in your argument, in your converse, in that relativity, in that interaction. So the presence of the Most High, increase it in your aura. Now when you become present, you become aware of it. You become aware of it, and then you become aware when it is lessened in your consciousness. You become aware when it has been reduced in your consciousness, when you have drifted away from the essence of what it is, how it has impacted your existence, how it had impacted your life. So as we grow closer, being present is observing. Observing how the Most High has always been there in your experience. That even when your consciousness of morality, of ethics, of the right behavior, of the right practice had escaped you, had eluded you, the very essence is you could still understand that there was a essence, a presence protecting you, keeping your family, even in your most vulnerable of moments. And you question. Some philosophize, some even theorize. And the essence is, we know. You notice there's something. You notice there's always been something. When you become aware of this presence of divine through your ethical, moral, and just your ability, your willingness to surrender, to allow a trusting to grow in you, the connection between the presence and the present becomes in sync. It becomes awesome. You being the present in the presence, you are able to observe divine in all facets, in all natures, in all dimensions of his divine expression, in the limitless possibilities beyond your thoughtscape, beyond what is the ceiling of present thought, of what is awesome, of what is possible. Being present in the presence will make others call you clairvoyant, a seer, a psychic. But truly the word did say is presence, is spirit would be poured out on the young men and young women, prophesying, dreaming dreams, because there's an awesomeness when the present that we are awakes to the presence that is Yahuwah. The eternal is alive in us. It is alive beyond us. And though we question our own mortality, and some strive for immortality in intellectualism, the ultimate truth is that which is authentic is the first cause, beyond all effects, the first cause. The presence is real. The spirit of immortal is real. It is here. It is not a lusting after. It is not a grand grabbing after, or a grand catching for, or a great reaching after. It's through humility. It's through a humble submission that the ultimate peace begins to awaken you. And through that trust, you now begin to connect greater. And the presence of divine begins to awake ever more within your present, within your now. And philosophically, intellectually, theoretically, you do not have to search the annals of your mind to find this convergence of thought. You just need to look. Many speak of power of mantras. Many speak of power of thought. I often say in great ancient texts, it says greater than thoughts or feelings. So the essence of what is most real is so subtle that it is most naturally felt more than it is thought of. Thought is such a heavy use of gross energy, and we know divine is in subtlest of the subtlest energy, so subtle and malleable, yet present, but being beyond presence. But we who come into the presence because of our wavelengths, because of our bandwidth, called the human consciousness. This is how we interact with the Most High, with divine. So as we increase in clarity through the portals of devotion, of decency, of a certain discreet and honorable, moralized way of life, we become closer, more aware. The present grows in us. And then we are in sync, in tune, we are connected. And then it is easier to trust. And then people say, how is it that they say these things? How is it that they act without a specific evidence? Because it is a feeling, a most subtle feeling, that the more denser you are, the harder it is to be in sync, to immerse, and to be spoken to from the subtlest of the subtle. The Most High is unto us a most malleable, a most genteel and gentle of presence, that in our arrogance, in our detachment, in our intellectualization, it is so very easy for us to miss the essence of the presence. I remember on my journey, when I was seeking to know great things and to be a man of knowing or understanding or overstanding, I oftentimes did not want to stay present, because I recognize that in the present, and bear with me, in the present, you have to allow whatever it is you think and whatever you think not, you have to allow. And so I didn't want to stay in the present, in the now, because I was quite afraid that I had no mark that could stand to be evidence. I had a fear that if I would stay still, if I but stay present, that I will be lost into oblivion. Because the intoxication of that existence around which I was groomed had nullified such a clarity that would be gleaned from being present. I lost such deep stirrings of the subtle and the subtlest, even the subtler, the subtlest most. I lost such connection. So I careened even more intensely, even more intently into my own misunderstanding. I careened literally into my own misunderstanding. And as such, I continued to seek after the esotericisms for a sense of presence, a sense of knowing, a sense of well-being. But I found that the further away I went from being present, from allowing the now, the more heavier my life got. The less I wanted a life, the less I cared about living a life, because it became now a matter of my existential mind, a matter of my opinion, because I became my own blessing and my own curse. So when I couldn't find something to bless myself of, I felt very cursed of myself. When I couldn't find something to correct myself of, I felt very rotten and destroyed in myself of my choices. There was no way to redeem myself, because I held on that all is present, in that it is my function. It wasn't that the presence was divine. I was afraid of the now. My idea of the present was that I was to expand my thinking. I was to seek in all desires what was, what is to be. I never knew what was and what is to be already is. And as such, I am just a continuation in the now of the divine presence. But I had not that understanding at the time. So my life got heavier and heavier, and I lost presence. I became in the past, in the past dimensions, where in time dementias roam as the gods and guardians in those dark portals, I became close unto what is called depression, because my very ethos became a retrograde reality, going away from present, spiraling into a negative space, a space that couldn't give life, because light and essence and energy was quite reduced there. The energy, the attention, the moment is present. Eternity is in the presence. And as such, when my awakening started, the Lord began to bring me closer to the present. And the more I came to the present and recognized that I am, let me clarify, because of going retrograde in my mind, the revolving mentality wanted to take me back to a time where it's like I lived an archaic reality. And as such, I didn't like the essence of modernity or modernization or anything modern. Even though in time I could see that modern is a state of consciousness, and in every age there is modernity. And as such, I kind of rebelled against the presence of what we call our current reality. So the Lord had to bring me from such mindsets where some people would say the reincarnation complex, somber, of thinking that, you're your great-great-grand, father, or you was a great general in Genghis Khan's army, or you understand, right? It is that seeking through that carcass, of anciency to find some subsistence of energy that is truly to be gleaned from being present in the present. The Most High brought me forward. Yahuwah brought me forward. The angels guided with thoughts and the meditation through the true messengers of Yah, through the true followers of Yah, their true connections with spirit brought me closer. It was like a healing. It's like it is an healing that came forward and just enveloped me in entire presence. And I began now to be in sync with true presence. I didn't go seeking, but through I was found and I was restored to the present of myself, to know this is now. I did not need to live in archaic mindsets, in old, outdated thought processes, that seeking through these mantras, these old ideas, these idioms of cultural hierarchy, wasn't where the presence of Yah is. It is now. It is right here and now. And we miss it. We miss it because we are going away from present now. We are going away from the now. And as we go away from being present, we go away from the presence. And we shift into these other dimensions that will lead to dementia and loss of collective recollection. We will be absolved into the true nature if we but just allow and trust. Because that was very, very important. Because I battled with the connection. You know why? Like so many others, I wanted to again intellectualize and so-called understand. But again, now I understand based upon the bandwidth of the human consciousness and your direction of thought. It will occur in front of you and you will not be able to perceive it or completely know of it. To engage it is a true, honest allowing. It is not your intellect. It's when the burdens are so much, you are broken till you cannot stand. And in your brokenness, you are restored by your true maker. The true potter that spins the wheel, that fashions the clay of our existence, will come in when all our intellectual, all our deep philosophical arguments are overbearing till they break the bank of our sanity and our sense of well-being, And then we will come from the past. We'll come from the archaic pits of history, of prehistory, and come into the awesomeness of the present, in the presence of Yeshua, in the presence of Yahweh, in the presence of now, to see the beauty in your children, in your prospective children, in your desire to be a husband, in your desire to be a father, in your desire to be a mother, in your desire to be a wife, in your desire to be a true caregiver. Come to the presence of your existence, and you will see the presence of Yahuwah. Your virtues, your morals, they will align into the right ethical behavior, and you will search your heart, search your soul, and you will submit unto the divine will. You will learn to give it over unto Yah, because your mind will not supplant that truth which is before you, and will always be after you. If you do not engraft yourself into the living presence, you will fall away like those buds that didn't really bud and catch on and sprout and grow strong roots. Yea, may be that the wheat and the tares will grow together until the day of harvest. But yea, what are ye? Are ye wheat or are ye tares? For only one can be meat unto the master. Is only one that can truly be presented to the bridegroom. Is only one that can be presented at the wedding feast. Is only one that can be chopped down and thrown upon the fire. Being present in the presence is not a philosophical argument on the true nature of Christ in life. It is a fact that Yah is present in all existence, and His presence permeates. And it is not a goodness that you can claim or I can claim of ourselves, but it's a submitting unto the true goodness. And then we are then mirrored in the image of this goodness. And then we are truly present in the presence. And our families will radiate that love and that light, because it is truly in our experience, and we will truly be transformed by the renewing of our minds, body, and spirit. Because no matter how we act or play the game, the true essence is that it manifests as our reality. When we are not present in the presence, our distant mind will always be out of sync. We will never be able to love and be loved, to truly express that true, deep, subtle emotion that words don't have to say, can never say truly. And any attempt is just vain, lest the soul is truly in sync with divine. And then you vibrate, then you radiate the true present in the presence. So one will look upon your aura, upon your life, and say there's something truly divine here. That the Most High God of creation has defied the complex of human configuration in this and these individuals, that their children, that their lives, that their ways of life, their ways of living, inspire others to the divine way, not to self-praise and to self-aggrandizement, but to welcome all over to the presence, to welcome all over to be present in this eternal now. And let the very beautiful, blessed, magnificent aura of Yahuwah be resplendent in your being, in your everything, in your choice of words, in your choice of thoughts, actions, deep synchronizing behaviors, in your choice of dress, in your modus operandi, in how you are, in how you are willing to let go and let Yah, in how much you are willing to go beyond your own expectations, your own fears, your own morbidity, to be truly present in the presence. I am often challenged myself so as not to slip off from the present. Because sometimes when we get overburdened again by drifting in too much thinking away from the present, we lose presence. And purpose begins to wane. Reasons for living begins to disappear. And what now appears is the void called doubt, anguish, anxiety. A whole lot of trepidations become the clock going clockwise, away from the anti-clockwise movements of our present reality. Our timelines become jarred. We become succinct and removed from what is the constant. And we are splintered into alternate versions of what is possible. And the truth of what is present escapes us. Living in the veins of ideology, in the veins of mysticism, missing the presence of divine, beyond our ancient totems and archetypal representation of divine, beyond our modern totems and iconography of divine. The presence is here, beyond the ideology. Just submit your will into divine and trust. Trust to move past the death and the debt you've created of toxins in your medulla oblongata. Let the cerebrum and the cerebral cortex visualize the true dimensions of yourself. Be restored truly to the presence. Feel the endorphins and the serotonin, more than some gut reaction, as someone to say. Feel that cerebral. Feel that ephemeral, that ethereal, that sensual and sensuous, all in the present, all in the presence of divine. How else could we be alive? How else are we alive? Lest we are in the presence. Be present in the presence. And we will celebrate the awesomeness of the divine presence. Everything radiates. Everything vibrates at a higher level. Everything becomes more alive. I remember when I was just getting more into the presence of it all. I remember I was walking down the hill and I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said to her, you know, I felt my legs walking down the hill this morning. She said, you felt your legs? I said, yes, I felt my legs. They were alive. She said, so you weren't feeling your legs before? But I wasn't aware. I just saw them as functionaries. That was to merely just do. And I never felt the life in them while they did what they do. And I became deeply appreciative that I could feel the life in my legs, that every day carry me up these mountains, that every day take me down these mountains, that every day take me into these cities, that every day gives me the strength to journey in, journey on, journey out, journey beyond the reaches and the reaches of my community. I felt so humbled, so honored to feel the life in my legs. Because for a very, very, very long time, there was no feeling, though they functioned. So the presence and being present in it, it's an awareness of that which you pray about all the time, that which you philosophize about, that which you cross your fingers and wish about. It is happening currently, and some don't even know. The great Mecca of the consciousness that you seek is here present. Take deep breaths and taste the fervent nature of the sweet nectar of eternal living that is present now, that is in the presence. And being in sync with the most subtle will take away the gross disparities in our consciousness. that make us die, 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 while we should live, 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 and be alive and filled with the divine aura. We are graceful, magnificent, and blessed when we do allow, when we do absolve our human disparities, misunderstandings, wishings into the true essence of who we are, when we truly become present in the presence and acknowledge the divine creator as the divine creator and acknowledge his divine way in all things, that it is his life and not ours, and that we are mere functionaries of the divine grace, and how blessed we are to be such functionaries, to be in the gardens of his eternal splendor. Look around. Are we the creators of our existence? Are we truly? And for those who say we are, I have one request of you, and don't call me sarcastic. I'm just trying to ask. You said, yeah. I have one request of you. I would like you to make more of these beautiful worlds, that we all can feel special, if that is the case. But seeing that this is the Ark of the Covenant, under the firmament of his existence, of his creation, and his handiwork is upon the firmament, it stretches beyond the reaches of our human consciousness. I truly humble myself unto divine Yahuwah for the eternal knowing that my mind will never comprehend the vastness of his creation. But that is not my duty or my purpose. My purpose is to be present within the presence and be filled with the radiance of divine and fulfill the functions that he places upon my being, our being, in every single moment, forever eternally changing. Nothing set in one way. It's the myriad dimensions of complete fulfillment. It is as real will ever be, because it is genuinely true. And though we splinter at times into our own subjectivities, into our own morbidity, we are best served to return to the present. We are best served when we return to the presence. There is an essence amongst us as living beings that sometimes we question our reality. We say, what is the purpose? What is it this? What is it that? We want to go outside of our living dome. We want to go outside of our living existence. We want to go beyond, beyond, beyond. But yet we have eternity in the presence. And yet we do not comprehend. We will not comprehend. We seek externalization and rationalization for what is eternal and present in us. There is a beauty when we allow the divine to be exactly as he is, and as the many ways he has chosen to speak to us. There is deep clarity and understanding when we can go past the past and come to the presence of the present. Be awake in the now and see the celestial heavens become alive to you like you've never seen it before. Not in the interpretation of pundits far and wide, but in the true scope of your living presence, that the immortal is in you, in your now, and Yah is speaking to you, and you will know your next moves because it is already ordained in the predestined fulfillment of the true self. He already considered everything. He already thought about everything. He already designed it the way it ought to be, and here it is awesomely so. And so being present in the presence, it's an allowing, it's a trusting, it's a letting go of the density to come to the subtlety and allow that presence to let go and just be. And see how it is that all things are ordered in the living cosmos. And you won't be like an island floating by yourself. You will truly be like islands in the streams, or the continents of our dreams. You will be awesomely reunited with the true presence of your creator in actuality, in activity, in event, in eventuality. That which is eventual will be eventual. And in time, we all see the error of our drifting away from the present. And now we know it is high time that we return. that we let go and let God, we let go and let goodness, we let go and let Yah fill our being radiantly with His immortal presence. And then we can truly say we are alive and living, we're alive and well. I pray that we continue on this path of awakening to the divine presence in the present of our being. Be now awakened, shadow. Be now completely immersed, trustingly, in the connection of the true presence of Yah. Let us give thanks as we continue on this path in all of our experiences. Greetings and blessings to all who are on this path in all dimensions of life, in all wavelengths, in all timelines, in all places on this plane of life. I give thanks that I'm able to share a word, to offer a thought, or to connect a thought to a thought, to let the immortal presence be remembered in the recollection of our immortal presence. Yahuwah be praised. I continue to pray for your souls, our souls, as we continue to be present in the presence. Remember that you are a gift, a beautiful present, wrapped and presented to yourself, your family, your community, to awesomely be experienced in the fullness of the sublime glow, in the sublime glory of eternal life, of eternal light. Yahuwah is here, the very beating of the life in us, the very essence of thought, of color, of contrast, of balance, of all these wavelengths of perception, of experience, of the subtleties, of the moral clauses, of the beatitudes, of the subtle intent, inner, deep dimensional clarity we seek through healing, through the goodness of our heart, sharing one to another. It is allowing the presence to fulfill us, to fulfill the divine way in us, that we can truly feel what life ought to have been and what life is, that we can find the resurrection through the second Adam, from the fall of the first Adam, that we can return to the garden of our existence and be fragrant like the true flowers, with no thorns to hurt our souls, but only the fragrance to carry us closer to the subtle presence of divine love, light, and true awakened blessings to you. Continue to be that gift you are. Continue to like and subscribe and share Tree of Life television networks. Tell a friend. Continue this. Each one, teach one. Each one, reach one. In the beauty of the living cosmos, may we continue to be present in the presence. Blessings and love for all who has been supporting, all who has been donating, and giving thanks for that special donation which will help further the ministry and further the work of Tree Life Television Network. I give thanks to my brothers in the UK. Brother Hines, most respect and most thanks to you. Personal shout out to you for that camera. You uplifted the works, and now we go forward towards getting the other components to get all my productions moved from just on the video phone to the video camera. And we can have a storage device, and we can have an editing machine through a laptop, and we can just further the works. So continue on this blessed and humbling journey of being present in the presence. Let the Most High be your very breath, be the very prana of your existence. Be filled radiantly with the divine presence, blessings, and love. Until we meet again, this has been Jerome Sage Butler, Reasonings from the Tree of Life, right here, Blue Mountains, Jamaica. Until next we meet again, strength and honor and dignity and love.